please look at me as an example. Please understand there's two types of eulogies. It's one where we can't get up. It's one where everybody say how great I am. And then it's that one where I got falsely arrested, I returned, and I'm back. So that was my eulogy, and I'm going to speak about it.
Unlearned Unlimited. Unlearned Unlimited.
Welcome to Unlearned Unlimited. Dr. Sito Narcisse in the house. We got a banger for you today. Now, you know, sometimes people, they don't get the whole picture. They see things what they see, they understand, but they don't understand that there are architects in education that got to make things happen, right? And so today, we're not just going to have a conversation. We're going to talk about a journey. Welcome into the house, Dr. Karlton Johnson in the house, an educator, a brother that understands achievement, and more importantly, a brother that understands what it means to be in the community, to do stuff for kids. And I know we out here in South Florida, so I said, let me come and say, what's going on, Doc?
Hey, man, hey, listen. hey, Doc, I got to go back. When you sit down and you talk about the authenticity of our relationship, even from the Newts in the house.
Oh, you already know on the yo.
Unlimited. You're talking about a podcast that I see. I was like, man, I can't pass up on that. I'm talking about getting out here, getting a chance to talk about education, aligning the perspectives and the perception of society and bringing it all back home, man. So listen, it just don't stop there. Bring me back anytime, man. Love you, man. Love you much. Keep doing the great things that you're doing.
No, I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it, good brother. So, all right. So as you know, as I had a whole conversation with you, Unlearned Unlimited is about the combination of education and culture, right? Because we and you both know being in education for a long time.
Long time, man.
If you think culture doesn't influence education in the world, not just this country, you lying to yourself.
Absolutely.
Right?
And that's the way you look at it. I mean, when as leaders, and we both been there, like when you culturalize the environment to pretty much understand the perspective of your children, your teachers, your surrounding, you begin to get embedded into that.
That's right.
You don't even want to go home.
That's right. I'd
rather stay out there, find me a house in the community. So I know why these colleges and universities, like, they want their president to stay right there because you culturalize yourself.
That's right.
You just learn it to that extent.
That's right. Well, listen, so let's talk about some stuff, right? Usually we always do our homework on people, but I learned the best people got to tell you about themselves is themselves, right?
Absolutely.
So let's tell our audience a little bit about your journey, right? How you became where you became, what community you grew up in, your neighborhood, like what inspires you? What sister got you? Like, what's the thing?
It's touching, to society to know that your mother was a bus driver. Not a single mom or a stepfather, but still didn't understand the trajectory of little small town in Suffolk, Virginia. How do you get out of here?
Yeah.
That was my biggest struggle. I was on that bus every day. Very fluent, do it well in school, great basketball player, had one of the top teams in John F. Kennedy in Virginia.
Okay.
We did well, but being on that bus every day and understanding the hardship that my mom went through in 1974, where our lights were shut down in Virginia, and you're talking about 30-degree weather, lights shut down, oil lamps we're using, and to understand that my mom got up every morning and drove someone else's child to education was powerful. I'm sitting behind a bus with no lights on, probably wore the same thing over and over. So that lady had a level of resiliency that permeated to me, and shared that moment to me that nothing can really touch me.
And was your mom the only one in the house, or was your mom and dad, or she was a single mother?
My stepdad, but he was in and out of jobs. My siblings were there. 2 boys, 2 girls. I even put my baby sister by an oil lamp and put her on the front page of the newspaper. So being joked about, sitting up there, but that lady drove your child.
Right. That's right.
To school every day. So she let me know that nothing can really stop you. So, as we teach in education, we teach perspectives. I got out of Suffolk, Virginia, came down to Miami in 1985, went to Florida Memorial University.
Okay.
Played ball there.
Now, let me just say this, because there's a little battle on our podcast. We had a Howard University person. We had a Lincoln. So, we had Courtney talked about FAMU. The competition HBCU, right?
HBCU. So you get here to Miami. You get to Florida Memorial. You culturalize yourself. You look getting away from Suffolk, Virginia, and you see all the perspectives where people saying, well, man, you're a pro.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm putting up numbers. I'm doing well. I play with the Miami Tropics, worked out with a couple of pro teams.
Yeah.
Even worked he's like my nephew. Even worked him out. You go on his Instagram and you see him work him out. And a lot of pros talk to me and everything about perception and everything. But I told him, you may not make it here, but you make it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And that's what it's all about.
That's right.
Got my degree, got a master's, doctorate, the highest level of degree.
Yeah.
And explain to how do you get through obstacles.
Yeah.
Obstacles are just a perception of society.
Yeah, that's right.
So I want everybody on this platform to understand I got obstacles and I got education. And I find out and I discovered the fact that education is far greater than the obstacles.
Yeah, that's right.
And when we talk a little bit more, I'm going to tell everybody about
that's right.
how do you get through those obstacles.
Yeah, that's right.
And what's there.
That's right.
So, pivoting from Virginia to South Florida, knowing so many people, so many different resources, being in public education and doing very well, and finishing up this year. So Mom started the platform. She started the foundation.
And was Mom like, listen, you ain't got no choice?
You ain't got no choice, man.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to be on that bus in the morning. If you ain't laid out, that bus can pull up. But, here's the sacrifice of society is why, 20-degree weather, bus is cold. Mom didn't say come out when I'm walking to the bus.
Yeah.
Because we stayed in Cypress Mountain, in the hood. Mom went to the bus first. Mom warmed the bus up. Then she stopped in front of that apartment to get her 4 kids to walk out and get on the bus. What I found out and I discovered that my brothers and sisters can integrate with the other population on the bus. But I had to sit right behind Mom because I was her baby boy.
Were you like the chosen one for her?
Yeah. Chosen one. Chosen one to the extent, man, that is so powerful that me being in South Florida, and my siblings would call me and say, she was incapacitated for 14 months. And, she was shutting down the organs. And what do you think, baby boy? And I was like, listen, don't touch that girl. She's waiting on me. Okay. So I flew in on a Friday and wow, it hits me here because I flew in on a Friday. I told her, I said, hey girl, go ahead and get out of here. You don't look like you're coming back to me. But I promise you one thing, I'm gonna pay your house off. And my brothers and sisters can live in there and don't have to pay a dime. So I paid her house off. My brothers and sisters are in the house. Okay. And 2 days later I got back and she went on, she passed on. So she was just waiting on me. So that's when you're the chosen one.
Yeah, that's right.
She was waiting on that voice. So,
that's right.
So I take that and let that resonate with me, and I bring it with me everywhere I go. So as we get in this segment, you're going to see, man, you can't touch Doc. Doc got this covenant on me that, man, God says, guess what? Pour into these children, pour into education what your mom poured into you.
That's right.
So I have maybe 13,000 graduates. From being a principal over 15 years that are doing great things out there. One just, with New American Roofing, just did my roof. My graduate came, hey, Dr. Johnson, I got you. Andy Ortiz, I got you. No problem. So I've joined forces with my kids, the future of society. And, I tell you, Doc, you know how we do it. It's irrelevant.
That's right. That's right.
I hate when people say, man, you're in education. God bless you.
Like it's a bad thing.
Like a bad thing.
This pays away from our family to eat. What are you talking
This is
about?
what I want to do.
Yeah, man.
Kids going to keep you relevant.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So they keep the substance going with me. And you know how, as former superintendent, man, and, I look at the great work you're doing. This Unlearned Unlimited is like a platform where there's no limits when it comes to education.
Yeah.
So, I want our listeners to understand that, guess what? The more we pour in, the more we get in return.
Yeah, that's right, man. I was just thinking about a comment you just made about, when people go in the education world, education is a beautiful thing, man. But sometimes people make it sound like, and I know they get caught up in the money and all this other stuff. But the reality is you get to influence a mind, right? Mm-hmm. And what I learned as I've gotten older was being able to influence people to do their best, to be their best, be resilient, shifting mindsets is the greatest thing you can do, right? You may not see it. You may not see it, right? Because you teach, you be like, man, I hope I got this kid right.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you something, man. In all the years and all the cities and all the stuff I worked in, man, it's been the greatest thing to come back and run into a kid. You like, yo, I remember when you did this. And I tell folks, like, don't let people crap on you around this education. I tell these folks who be hating on education, like, go ahead, put gasoline on the log. Somebody who's shaping a mind.
At a 100% incentive-based organization.
Yeah, man.
You do anything extra, we pay you. Come
crazy,
on, I'm not giving up education for no one.
Yeah,
so,
man. Well, let's talk a little about stuff. But I want to, I always want to pivot us into this unlearned space before we get into the unlimited, right? So let's talk about just a couple of things because your journey's been interesting, right? So you have been going. You had all these highs, right? Then you had a couple of incidents.
Oh yeah, right? You can't have no highs.
Hold on, you got a couple. You got a couple of incidents. We're haters.
Exactly.
Right? You probably don't know the full story, right?
Right.
And then you got this whole thing you're doing, right? And what I've found always remarkable about you is your resiliency on trying to stay positive, not, engaging with people. And in terms of, when I say not engaged, like not getting back and forth, trying to explain people their story, whatever.
No need.
But I thought it would be good, Karlton, so I'm a big person that believe in this whole story. Like, share a little bit about how that feels when you go from one space of high, right, to another space where you see that, dang, like, you hear people say stuff about things.
It's so incredible because I shared the holiday season with my good friend, private jet, going different places, enjoying life, get back to transition back to education, and go because, the location that I was at, was very short in funding, to go and use some aluminum just to try to help out, put in the teachers' funding so we can have an end of the year event. And driving back to my home, and I get stopped. And when I get stopped, I say, hey man, listen, we don't have to be aggressive as what we experience in law enforcement across the country. You don't have to be aggressive with me. I'm one of you. I got an honorary badge that's been handed to me with the sheriff along with one of my constituents. So I'm sitting here, I'm talking and I'm trying to diffuse the moment. Nothing to align to the state statute, impersonation. I'm one of you, which takes out of content, and the way I was treated throughout the process, I began to not only align my resiliency as going back to my upbringing, who I am, the influential people I've been around. I mean, I've been everywhere. I'm the Lifetime Achievement Award from the president. I mean, so you say highs and lows. I'm top 50 in South Florida, one of the influential blacks. Principal of the year, 6th largest school district. So my highs has always been in a perspective. But my lows came into where, who am I? How do I address this moment? I'm one of you, made out of content, but I was asked a very important question. Are you sworn? No, but I'm still one of you. I got an honorary badge. That means my relationship with law enforcement is great. It's very, it's great. It's a great feeling. Make a long story short, went on through it, did the arrest. I was exonerated. My lawyer was incredible. I mean, he what did he do wrong? He didn't stop anyone. He didn't pull a badge out. He didn't show. I did absolutely nothing wrong. But perception of society orchestrates the highs and the lows. Here's the highs and lows with me. Getting off the private jet, enjoying the moment, get ready for the lows. So now that the lows is here with the support of my district, I get back into the flow of who I am. In return of, just being exonerated very quickly because nothing going on. And at a later date, I'm going to show some content that really shows what's happening right now. I just want to close this chapter. But I get back and I speak to children. Not one kid in the building embarrassed me. Not one kid's out. You was on the news because what I poured into education. Not one person embarrassed me. But I did say this. I said, thank everyone throughout this country, throughout Suffolk, Virginia, throughout Miami, Florida. through every single person, and I have over 9,000 contacts on my phone. Mm-hmm. I had maybe 1,000 messages that say, I'm there for you. Mm-hmm. So when I returned, I said this, Doc. I said, please look at me as an example. Please understand there's two types of eulogies. Mm. It's one where we can't get up. It's one where everybody say how great I am. And then it's that one where I got falsely arrested, I returned, and I'm back. So that was my eulogy, and I'm going to speak about it. But don't worry about me, because what happened with that plane that was going into Washington, D.C., those families were waiting on those people.
That's right. That's right.
So let me tell the people who are looking up to me and still think highly of me, don't worry about Karlton. So it goes back to that word resiliency. Don't worry about me. I'm thinking about those lives that we lost. I'm thinking about countries that are losing babies. I'm thinking about those kids in front of me that I love dearly. And I've poured so much of my personal revenue into education. So, when you say it's touch, but you got to move on. So let's tell people when it comes to Unlearned and Unlimited, listen, how you move on through obstacles. We both did it, right?
That's right. That's right.
We both did it.
That's right.
I got one of the brightest individuals that I'm sitting with, not only my frat brother, but you've been very competent, very intelligent. Every trajectory of your voice to me stands within who you are as a person. So shame on the districts don't have you, my brother. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But they can listen.
I'm having way more fun right now. I ain't gonna lie to them. I'm having way more fun right now.
Absolutely.
All right. So the reason why I thought it was really important people to hear that is because, we live in a world where perception becomes people's reality, right? Mm-hmm. When the reality is never always matching up to perception, right? And I always want to bring up, because you're one of the dudes that I've always known since we come out here, especially in this state, in Florida, the work y'all have done around workforce development and some of those things. People don't know you've engaged a lot of that idea before workforce development even came out, trying to figure out how kids can go from schools to careers,
to work
right?
For, I was fortunate to be the director of Career and Technical, and I started speaking with the superintendent at that time. I said, what I'm discovering right now is that the common principles of theoretic perspectives is not inside of a textbook. Man, the kids need to be workforce ready. They need to have mastery in two components, teaching and learning, and also in the workforce. We got to get our kids out there, man, interning with these local companies. Yeah. We want some familiarity with our kids coming back, on the job as CEOs.
You remember, Karl, I think we had that conversation.
Did we? Yes.
Years ago.
Yeah. Let's get ahead of the game, man.
It's just crazy now. You hear, now everybody's, let's talk about this workforce development,
yeah.
AI and all that.
These kids doing this.
And our premise was, get the damn kids out the hood.
Exactly. So, I was opening for a superintendent in a district, and he was like, I want you to open up for me and tell me about something. I said, let me open up some things and tell you. In society, let's stop saying social, economic, disadvantaged community.
Yeah.
They might be economically disadvantaged, but they ain't social. Our children can tap into anybody across this country through cell phones.
That's right.
So they got the technology.
That's right.
99% of society, when it comes to children, have a cell phone.
That's right.
And the sad part about it, you can take a baby, 3 years old, 4 years old, let them hold your cell phone for about 4 minutes. You might got some Amazon boxes coming to you. Because they brilliant, man.
Yeah,
Kids
man.
don't give up on them.
Yeah, man.
They brilliant. They keep us grounded. They keep us, when you listen to their music, understand their music. These kids are brilliant. They like their fashion. And it's so good to say in the hood but out the hood. So what the in the hood and out the hood look like?
Yeah.
It's because now our children are understanding what gentrification look like and regentrification. Somebody say, what do you mean by regentrification? I said, well, at one point, this community was fluent. Then it transitioned.
Yes,
and y'all called it the hood.
Yeah, that's right.
And then somebody came back and said, I want it back.
That's right.
That's
right.
regentrification.
That's right.
So I said, listen, man, let's do what we can do with our children, man.
I was just thinking about, as you were making that comment, I always find when we start with marginalized communities, we always start off in this space, or even we look at Black or Brown, Latino communities, we always start off in this space that they started off bad. And I tell folks, that's not true. You go to any home at any time, parents want the best for their kid.
Want structure.
And when you look at the history of our country, right, there was Black Wall Streets. Like,
Yes.
remember all that? Now, all that stuff that happened in history happened in history, right? But like this whole notion, I think, like I see that people put minorities in particular boxes is a true thing, right? But when people tap into our community, they then figure out, wait a minute, there's so much more that they could do. Well, I think it's always the access is a thing. I think this technology thing is going to be changing the dynamic. And that's why when I thought about, when you talked about, I was like, we've been talking about this workforce development stuff for like years ago,
before the game, man.
So
before.
now,
so look,
they putting dollars behind it?
Put your check in, dog. I mean, they sent me something in the mail to sign off on, but I said I can't accept it because I'm still working. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
But you're absolutely right, and don't be afraid to say black and brown.
Yeah, man.
I'm like, why are we afraid of that?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, that's what it all aligns to.
That's right.
When they say transportation in public education, transportation went from, in my area where my mom was picking up. But now when you look at certain areas, like we can bus you anywhere you want to bus.
Yeah.
You could be in our magnet program, our medical program. I used to ask kids, I was like, well, let's open up by saying what is the most prominent professions? It's only really 2 in this entire world. The kids look at me like, wow, what is it? It's like, it's medical because you're going to need some. And it's education.
That's right.
You can't have one without the other.
That's right.
Go into those fields.
That's right.
And then we started talking about, one of the kids asked me the other day, was like, Doc, I got to do so much math. I don't see the application of math being influential and being a pipeline through my employment.
Yeah.
I say, absolutely not. But you can take and go into engineering.
That's right.
Which has a large portion of math, and it still can get you there. The kid is at MIT.
He's at MIT right now.
Doing well. So these are the conversations I have that when I look on Instagram, when I look on Facebook, and they tracking me down, and I got so much content. Doc, March 2026, it's about to see the real straight up with Dr. KJ.
Oh, well, you ain't got any number of things. You let me know when it drops.
Absolutely.
We here.
I got so much content.
Let me ask you this, right? So what do you think has been I'm going to ask you this question in 2 ways. So one is, what has been your biggest personal challenge, right? And what has been your biggest professional challenge?
My biggest personal challenge is individuals, adults understanding me. And understanding my purpose. My purpose is not, I remember when I was at the high school and I had some challenges as the principal. My challenge is, do I have to be a part of the community, or can the community be a part of me? I don't have to act like this is because I'm from the hood. I don't want to act like I'm in the hood every chance I get. And my challenge is when, the school became an A school, and I was in there on my knees, and I'm telling the man upstairs, thank you for letting this community see their way out. Always had obstacles because I refused to be like you. I'm Karlton Odell Johnson. Gloria Alston had me. I knew the dynamics in something special. But my obstacles been because of my affiliates. So, when you see me on the plane, and you see me with certain influential people, and you can't differentiate the fact that I'm still an educator, but you saying, wow, he got it going on, like someone that you would die to see and be around. But not knowing that my energy is driving that individual's energy too. So we feed off each other, very positive. We love each other. We make hiccups in life. But, I noticed that I walked back into, he got it going on. Or his house that he live in, this person purchased his house. No. God has put it in my pathway for my employment and my smart decisions financially. It's got me to where I'm at. So my biggest obstacle, in which you have the same obstacles in life in certain places when we talk about culture, is being black.
Now
being black and being successful. Looking at the percentage of black African American males that have a doctorate degree across the country, less than 5, less than 3.
Let me give some numbers, because I always tell people, the numbers are the reality, right? So there's
Absolutely.
about 350 million people, 306. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but it's 350, more than 350 million people in America, right? And then out of that, you probably got 12 to 13% African American, right? Or black, however they number. And then you gotta think about these numbers, right? 350 million plus people, 13% black, right? And then underneath that, you got educators, right? And we'll qualify education as degrees, right?
Correct.
And then you add this whole doctorate thing. You're talking like minuscule numbers, right?
Absolutely.
Right? And so people don't understand like why when cultures, whether it's African American, Latino, whatever minority cultures are celebrating the heck about getting a degree.
Yeah.
I think it's like, and people think it's just about money. It ain't about money. It's because even though they see it as a pathway to make money, but they're like, wait a minute, you did something that's extraordinary, which should be normalized, right?
So in our communities where, we see the level of excitement for first generations of high school diplomas, I used to tell the community in which I was in, I love the community of Pompano is, to me, the community of Pompano Beach, Florida is like my home. I love them. Highs and lows, I don't like this, but I was like, we ain't gonna have first generations of high school diplomas. We're gonna have generations of doctors, masters, bachelor's degrees. And so I came out with this theme and the kids loved it. I was like, you know what? Let's talk about the plane that has a pilot, the bus that has a driver, the train that has a conductor. You and I are the pilots, the conductor, and the driver. The children who's sitting in these seats behind us, they the passengers. So let's get them to their destination, and I call it destination excellence. Because if you got on a plane and you saw that pilot don't speak to you and say good morning, what do? I advise you to get back off that plane. You know what I'm saying? Because it might be something disturbing with that person. That's why they do the mental health check with pilots and conductors. But so, obstacles of it. But love society because society is understanding. We go back to the Unlearned Unlimited. Society is understanding the culture now. They understand that. Let me tap into the culture. So where you used to don't see us on commercials on TVs, we there, whether you like it or not. And I think society has culturalized that it's equitable.
Yeah.
There's no black, white, pink, purple, Hispanic, African American, white. We all in this same
same melting pot.
Same number.
Yeah, it's the same pot.
So and I talk about things that we really need to understand and let it resonate with our pattern of thinking. Education, man, go get it.
Right now there's this big debate going on around. They telling kids, you ain't got to go to school, get college degrees and all that. You just got to go and get a career. And I've watched this in systems now, right? So people say, no, just go ahead and get the certification. Just go get your career. Don't worry about going to post-secondary, college and all that, right? And so now this conversation is saying, you hear this narrative, right? People say, well, you ain't got to get this degree anymore because it ain't going to make you no money. Just go get this certification, get a career, right? And we know in the career technical world, that's been kind of the pathway. But I wonder, one is I wonder what your thoughts is on that. And the number two thing is, when I hear that, my question now is, I don't know if everybody understood the purpose of why they would go to a post-secondary education, right? Because I never saw it as a notion of, my mom and dad used to say, you ain't going there just to make money. You going there to learn how to think.
Absolutely.
Right? And so it's a funny thing, right? Because so I watch now in school districts, depending on how they're set up, what the socioeconomics is, all that stuff. Because I always think socioeconomics drives a lot. Who's choosing what to go where, right? And what I said all the time is in schools, you could tell who they're trying to make to become the CEO, who they're trying to design to be the entrepreneur, and who they're designing to be the worker beast.
Right, exactly,
right?
exactly.
So my question to you is I know you've been in this career workforce piece, been talking about this stuff for a long time. One, what do you think about this whole degree versus going to college versus going to career? What's your thoughts about that? And then number two is what's your own real personal philosophy about this?
Man, my
thing?
personal philosophy is this, so from a hiring perspective, a hiring perspective is, we got doctorate degrees. So one thing I know that a CEO is going to always do with you and I, Doc, I can give them a task they're going to go complete that task. And I told people, what's the difference between doctorate and a master's? Well, we research. We go and get an answer. We cite information. And if you know how long it take and the level of frustration that is embedded into that practice before that literature comes out and it's still crossed out and marked up, it gives you a drive out of this world. I talked about, and I spoke with the kids about the workforce. I say, so guess what? It's great mechanics out here that can go and pull my car under a tree and can fix everything, can change the radiator. By the way, while you at AutoZone, get me a water pump and do all that. But when you look at the theoretical perspective, that's when the challenge come in. So you can't have one without the other. So I'm telling, take workforce, line it with education, you got the best of both worlds. You become overqualified for underqualified position. That's where I want my kids to be at. So I tell them, go get their bachelor's, go get their master's, align that summer of your sophomore year. Go out there into the area and start interning. What we're finding out right now that we don't want to tap into these companies that want to pay so much while you go to college and while you go to a university. But the workforce, it got to be hand in hand. Now, college is not for everybody.
Right.
The financial attributes is not for everybody. However, you got armed forces, you got the Army and the Navy can still give you college with the GI Bill. So I tell kids, listen, expand yourself, go work, but don't get comfortable.
That's right.
So what I say about not getting comfortable, I don't have a degree. And then I've been on this job, I've been doing this, and I'm technically savvy what I can do. I can do this car, I can do this company. But what happened to the person that comes in with the master's degree, they got a new person, and come in and say, thank you for all your services. I just want you to stay credentialized.
Right.
You can't touch credentialized people that are able to say, I'm qualified for the position, and I do the position quite well. So that's powerful to me, being able to do that.
You know what I gave a crap about the most?
What was that?
Access. I learned that if people try to disqualify you for a lot of things, right? I had a mentor of mine that told me one time, people try to find what's wrong with you before what's right with you. I'll never forget this story. So I walk into the university, right? It was one of the few black kids, and I love this mentor. She was really great, and she was always on this like, you're a black man, you gotta be resilient, da da da. And she was this white lady, white Italian lady. And she was just like, I want you to be better than everybody else, because she said, what nobody's gonna tell you is when you walk through the door, they're judging you.
Right.
And she said, everybody's judging you. And it don't matter what color they are, what neighborhood they come in. And I said, well, I don't get, because I was an idealist, right? And she said, they judge you because, unfortunately, you start off with people's mindset of you in a deficit.
Wow.
I'll never forget that, sir. And I remember going back to my mom and dad. I said, I think the lady may be racist. And my mom said, no, she ain't racist. She trying to tell you how the world works.
That's true. That's true.
And the reality was, like, when I understood the conceptualization of that, right, I understand that you walk in with a deficit, so you got to, like, achieve at this level all the time, which realistic for a human, you can't achieve, right?
It's impossible.
At that level all the time. I started to understand, like, this is how I got to navigate to be able to at least get people not to disqualify me, right?
Absolutely.
And so I bring all that up because I'm just thinking about this whole notion now around, in our communities, what success is defined as is not always like what you've always achieved, but it's how much money you made. Right? And I understand that concept because I know if you come from poverty, you just want to have resources to do X, Y, and Z. Because that's how America has that. But then I started getting around spaces with brothers like you. They're like, nah, it's not just money. It's about what you've accomplished and what you do. That's a whole different way of thinking.
And that's powerful.
Because money's going to come.
Money's going to come, but that was powerful to me. So when the segment came out, CBS, NBC, they had to run the story. But it was so amazing that I was so popular that I didn't even know who I was. They talked about Principal of the Year, most influential. He's did this.
Oh, they boosted. Listen,
I mean, I'm like, you got to run the story, man. I'm like, hold on a second.
Listen, hey, if I was a reporter, I'd be running the story. I'm like, yo.
I'm walking around, I'm like a celebrity. Like, I'm like, are you kidding me? And it was like everybody running up to me like, man, that shouldn't have happened to you. We loved it. So, and I tell, society and statistics are real. Really, out of 10 black males, maybe 3 to 4 make it out of 10.
Yeah.
Incarceration.
Yeah.
Drugs, obstacles,
Yeah.
that's I try to teach my kids. Goes back to that perception. Dr. Onita Gilliard was like my mentor, was like the sharpest woman I've ever met in my life. Was a principal, big time with the district.
And she was out here in South Florida.
Oh, she was in South Florida.
Yeah,
So
y'all had some.
come on, man. Some serious educators,
that's
man.
Right, that's right.
That has came through here. My guy, Mr. Runcie, that's my guy. That was my superintendent. We talk, his dialect, Harvard degree, we would talk, but I learned something that Dr. Gilliard told me, you're not going to be a disciplinarian as my administrator. She said, come on in, let's do the master schedule. Let's talk about curriculum. I'm going to embed something to you because we knew African Americans, back in the days, if you was assistant principal, it means you was a great coach. You know how to walk around the school and be a disciplinarian. What about student achievement? What about being the master schedule? What about being curriculum, and instruction? I mean, those are the components that I learned. So when I went to the school and moved the school from a D to an A, and, all these accolades and then everything blowing up in my face, I was like, it came from Dr. Onita Gilliard. Like, you ain't going to be the average black male that's running around the hallways. You're going to dress with your suit. You're going to look good. You're going to be very presentable. I don't care what community you're in. So it goes back to mentorship. It goes back to perception. So the same as that individual had you, I did role play in my building. So I did this. So I brought 2 black boys in my office. One had dreads, gold teeth. One looked like you and I. And we would sit down and talk. Dr. Johnson, I love you, man. You so polished every day. You carry this perception. I said, so let's talk about employment. He'll look at me and say, what do you mean? I said, you like that hair, don't you? He said, yeah, I like it. If he can't give me the biblical terminology of it, I'm like, yeah. I say, so I'm going to bring the 2 of you all in. Y'all both qualify for this position. And I got you coming in first, looking like me, and I'm going to talk to you. And you're going to notice that you through your interview process, you in here with me for about 20 minutes. Then I'm going to bring you in here with me with the dreads and the gold teeth. You're going to be in here for about 5 minutes. And I'm going to say, let me get back with you. And you're going to constantly hear employment say, let me get back with you. And you're not even going to know because of discrimination, EEO. The kid cut his hair, took everything out. Because he's understood that society is aligned to perception.
That's right.
And now, if I can get you at the seat, you stand a chance. But if you look a certain way and you speak a certain way, you don't stand a chance. So what I try to do is have my dialect so enticing that people want to hear this. They want to talk about this. How did you get from here? 36 years of service in public education, on the brink of retirement. District has done so well. I support the leaders in my district, and but hey, March 2026, when they see this content, when they see the real trajectory of Dr. Karlton Johnson, they're going to understand that the children want to hear my voice. They want to hear this. And Doc, I really appreciate being on your platform, but my kids are seeking for, what went on. How did he even go from headline on the internet, impersonation, to still being successful? So I'm going to talk about that.
We had some guests on, some of our past guests. We got one guest, went to prison and changed his life. We had another sister talked about her personal struggle coming from a family where she was just, her mom, was in a particular space and a single mom, whatever, and she became success. And you hear these patterns of success that happen, right? And what I found interesting in the more being fortunate to live in a bunch of cities and educated, whatever, is I watch, and school systems, is watch people put folks into different boxes, right? I see sometimes when they see Black and brown boys, they see us as athletes and entertainers. And what I think I love now is that those quote unquote athlete entertainers are doing a whole lot of stuff, right? But I don't think they talk about it enough in public, right? So, and I was sharing that with you, people don't understand, those pathways were just pathways because that's what the way that they got exposed. But when they got resources, they're like, wait a minute, I could do a lot of different things in entrepreneurship. I could do things on influencing government stuff. I could do things around influencing in all the spaces that I was in, right? And I think one of the things we talk about Unlearned Unlimited is how can we should be having more of those type of conversations because
absolutely.
the perception is everybody in the struggle. All the people at the top didn't struggle. And we all know
Struggle is real.
everybody went through struggle. Just because they could wear a good suit,
Right.
tie, or they
Yeah.
can speak proper English
Right.
is different, right? But now you got AI, technology tools, and all that stuff, and social media that's like getting people to see much more beyond that. I just want to get us to a space where we get people to constantly are able to talk about this because I tell people it ain't quantum physics. There is a strategy to the plan, right? So when I look at like your work and stuff you've done, there's a formula you follow.
But you know,
Right?
the formula were from, you know, having a stepfather determined that I was going to be something. Him and I, you know, we didn't get along. You know, my mom was, you know, with the catalyst of my home, and I looked up to her. You know, I was everywhere with her. But I had my uncle, which was her brother, Clarence Johnson, and his wife, Carrie Johnson, which my aunt and uncle, you know, 88 and 87 right to this day. And they taught me what a home looked like. That was deep. So I used to run away, man.
Wait.
Oh,
Say that again.
was
They
deep.
taught you what a home looked like. See, people don't know.
Not a house.
Yeah.
But a home.
And people don't know. They don't.
What's the
Explain to them
difference?
what the difference is.
There's a difference. So here's the difference. The difference is, you know, my mom was struggling, so there was no waking up today and look on the counter there, and it had directions what they want us to do. Clean the dishes. Here's some money for you all to do this, because she just didn't have it. I went to but I would run away because of, you know, I would challenge my stepfather. My uncle was like, "Kay, I don't want you to do nothing crazy. Come over here."
Yeah.
But it was 3 boys. It was, you know, Tony, Troy, Karlton. My big cousin was Trent, that we used to look up to. And the home was so in tune that when my dad, I call him my dad now, and kind of bring tears to my eyes, would wake up and leave. And I done ran away now. And I done been there for like a week, and nobody asked me, "Do your mama know where you at?" Because they love me. So he would leave our chores as the boys. I want y'all to cut the grass, wash the cars, do all this. But my cousin and them, they gonna stay there. You know what I'm saying? But I know there's a chance they may send me back to the hood.
Right,
So
right,
I get up and start cutting the yard, doing that, and they be like, "Man, you trying to show us up?" No, I'm like, "Man, I'm trying to get me another day. I'm trying to get me another day here." But it was a home. So Auntie worked, she did all those things, and that's how I learned how to cook. You know, I watched her, I go back home, I cook for them. I love that. So they differentiated between a house that has the functionality of running, transiting in and out, to a home where you can sit down and eat. Everybody at the table. We can talk about great things. The 2 oldest girls went to college, so college was embedded into that home.
Yeah.
So now, let me give you something else.
Yeah.
Kappa Alpha Psi. So one of my cousins played Kappa. Tony did it next, and here I come. So the home gives you such vibrant, instructional, nurturing components that you take that and say, wow, when I become a man with my kids, I want them
Follow
to be in
that
a home.
formula.
I follow that formula. So that formula still resonates with me right to this day. And, you know, I got out the struggle. I got out the box. So, you know.
So let's talk about what would you be unlimited about, right? And I wrote this question down. So I say, to give someone who feels like a mistake has made them unhireable, unlovable, or people make you feel like, you know, it's over, right? Because what would be like, help me understand, like, what would be your advice to them, right? Because you, like, you know, none of that stuff.
Well, you know,
impacts so.
you're never unlovable. You know, society has this.
No, say that again.
You're never unlovable.
Because
society, because
people need that.
Let's get deep to society. You're never unlovable. You do great things. Someone say love you. You know, I was getting my car washed the other day. You know, I handed this lady a $20 bill that was sitting in her car in front of the grocery store, and she was counting, and I knew she was counting, trying to add up. I knocked on the window. Here's $20. I just picked up some love, Doc. God bless you, young man. Love, you're never unlovable. You're judged, but you're not unlovable. I am such a loving, caring person that everywhere I go, I touch. One of my close friends, which everybody see on TV, they love him. They love him. I mean, and I go with love is. I can take you at 6'2", me at 5'10", 5'11", and I can walk inside of a classroom, and the kid's like, he's a celebrity, but we all right. You know, I'm going to grow to be 6'2", I'm going to grow so you're not a threat. But I bring someone that's 7'1", 300, them kids like, I'm looking up.
Right.
I love that. I want to be there.
Right.
This guy's lovable, man. He's a great guy. So I experienced that you're never not lovable. Now, unhireable, you get to that point aligned to perception. But wait till March 2026 come, baby. Not only that my platform going to be hireable, it's going to be, when you come on my set, you know, I'm going to have people asking me, look, I want to hire you. I'm like, listen, I've closed that chapter.
Right.
It's, you know, I done picked up off Unlearned and Unlimited. Oh, man, I don't want to go back to that chapter. Y'all stay there. So, you know, I'm loved there where I go. You know, I'm loved there where I go. Look, I mean, from our perspective, my brother, look at us.
That's right.
You know, you reached out, hey, I want you on.
Yeah.
If I was unloved, you would say, guess what? The optics would have said, no, I can't do that because I'm worried about my show. But it was like, oh, you need to listen to this brother.
Yeah, man.
Exactly.
You know, I tell folks, listen, I mean, you already know, you know me for a while, but I tell people, I don't care what they think. I mean, because if you let every opinion drive every decision and everything you make,
you don't have a purpose.
That's correct. And I've learned at this stage of the life, for me anyway, it's more about, I would like because I made a lot of mistakes too, right? I like my legacy to be more like, I was able to show at least one or two things that you could do to make a difference, right? Because just like you, my mom and dad, they struggled trying to make sure we could make a difference. And that difference was more than money and all that stuff. Right. I told folks it's crazy.
Exactly.
So my mom, when she did all her community stuff, that's what she talked about. She's like, my mom was doing community stuff at the Red Cross in South Florida. And all. Like, for her, she's like, go make a difference. She was like, it's better for you to make a difference than for you to be worried about how much money you got.
So that's a powerful segue of this mental health is real.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You know, my text messages and my call, I didn't know, the resilience is unmeasurable, but I didn't know my mental health was impacted from that.
Yeah.
So that impacted me more than not being loved. I know I'm loved, but my mental health. So for the listeners to understand your mental capacity is great. Own it. Don't ignore it. It's real. I experienced it. I experienced the fact that when they put you in that cell, there's no doctorate degree.
Yeah, that's right.
There's no master's, bachelor,
right. That's right.
principal of the year. You just a number. And you line yourself. So my mental capacity was impacted. And, you know, for the gentleman that did me the way he did me, you know, even took me to the racetrack to use the restroom. And when it came out, I'm sitting in the back of a car for over 6 hours. Anything could have ran in the back of that car. Took me to the racetrack to use the restroom. And when I came out from using the restroom, this individual asked me, you really didn't have to use the restroom. Now, what do you do when you get nervous and you're in handcuffs? So, yes, it impacted my mental capacity, but I'm okay because of my lovable surrounding. So my lovable surrounding keeps my mental capacity at its all-time high now. So I want to share this to the listeners. It's like, don't give up in what you think that is too far to touch. Tangible success is measurable, and you can open the door and find it that it's right there. Sometimes what we do, we turn the other way and go through another door. So,
so I got two final questions, Rap.
Go.
Question number one: what do you tell your 20-year-old or 30-year-old self now? Wow. And all the knowledge you got, right? You want to be unlimited. What would you say to, hey, if I had something to tell you, this would be what it would be? What would that be to you? You know,
at 20, I didn't care who led this country. At 30, I didn't care. Maybe my 40s, my early 50s. But boy, decisions across this country matters. So I want to tell my 20-year-old, like 20, I'm jumping out the gym, I'm doing this, you know, I'm got the girls, you know, I'm trying to figure out who's my wife gonna be. Got two lovely daughters, Imani and Niara. that are incredible, both nurses. So my 20, it was like, wow, I got into this marriage and I'm young, I'm vibrant, I'm doing great things. The world can't touch me. I just got it going on. Mm-hmm. My 30s is like, wow, I still got it going on, you know, but I got to be responsible because I got 2 young ladies in my household. But I didn't have a ceiling. Mm-hmm. I was just that good. Basketball, education, got cut by a team. I was just that good. I mean, I remember the psychiatrist speaking to me in Cleveland and were like, listen, we're going to release you. And, you know, guys went with everything. They backpacks, everything they got, said, we're going to release you. You know, I'm like, it's the first time Tika's talking to a shrink. Like, I said, okay, I'm going back to work. I'm a science teacher. I'm going back. But, you know, hey, man, some of my guys ain't had nowhere to go. That dream was just everything on the table. Yeah. So when you say my 20s, my 30s, if I went back to my 20s and 30s, you know what I picked up on?
What?
The level of resiliency that I once had when I got arrested that day. I picked up my 20s and my 30s. I walked out there smiling. So anyone that feels that they've been victimized and that this is the end of the world, keep smiling. Because someone is going to embrace your smile.
That's right.
And love you.
That's right. Final question. What do you want your legacy to be?
Well, legacy to me is selfish. You know, I you know, when I was at the school.
Well, you know, you had to think about
legacy,
it. You know,
I had to think about that.
Listen.
So, you know, legacy to me is selfish. It's a word that we created in society. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I went to an urban. I was a principal at urban school. First A, back to back. They got A's. They never had it. Well, let me share this with you. They just got an A. Blanchard High School just got an A. This principal is doing his thing. But I never wanted a legacy. I wanted a purpose. See, purpose is something that no one can put a ceiling on. No one can measure. Purpose of life, purpose of improving life, purpose of helping, purpose of doing great things. Mm-hmm. My purpose got to be far more greater than my legacy because, you know, let's think about it. You know, the record is sitting here. And that's my legacy, man. And when somebody break it, what happened? Is the story really embraceful to say, you know, hey, Doc, man, you did it? Mm-hmm. Or is there a sign of jealousy in the back? Sign of jealousy to go with that legacy.
That's right.
So I don't want to be jealous. Yeah. I don't want to be selfish.
Yeah.
I want someone to do greater than I. Yeah. You know, we always want that. We want the best for our children. We want those things. So, but my true legacy that I really want society to truly understand, a Black African-American male that's been from the White House, that's been on private jets, have had everything you can possibly have in life. And still a mistake can happen. Mm-hmm. Don't let confusion, miscommunication lead you down a road that you cannot turn back. The only way I was able to turn back because there were some slight deficiencies that particular trooper made that day. But there are also some languages that we put on our children. We label our children in our schools. We label people that they can't turn back because that mental capacity has been impacted so great. So my legacy to being on your platform is take what I can give you, write down what you can keep, and things that you don't need, throw it away because it's already in your database. So I'm just going to stick with the purpose. You know, legacy to me is selfish. It's always someone going to break this number. You know, let's look at society right now. I love January. We celebrate that Martin Luther King. Mm-hmm. But this new generation, they looking for their own hero.
Yeah, that's right.
So let's embrace this next generation.
That's right.
And let's be one of their heroes.
That's right. That's right.
Because if they say, Dr. Johnson, man, you my guy, I'll celebrate your day. And you know, it's funny, Doc, because we look at it. When they give you a proclamation, what do they call it? Your day.
Your day.
You know what I'm saying? When the school got an A, the mayor brought me down there, gave me a proclamation. You know, this certain day is Dr. Karlton Johnson's day. Yeah, yeah. So I got my day.
Yeah. But
I don't want a legacy. I just want to continue to maintain a purpose.
Yeah.
You know, to all our listeners, you know, stay vibrant, stay great in what you do.
That's right.
Greatness helps all of us achieve moments that, you know, our mental state of mind can be challenged at some point. But when you stay great, you continue to love and you get love back. I give something that's powerful. I watched the movie Armageddon, and I said, it's amazing that other countries, when we are at destroying all mankind, we trying to hide in our Bentley, we at our Rolls Royce, we at our houses in the basement, we building bunkers. For what? Hey, those other countries was joining hands and walking because they was loving each other without this fictitious way of life. Someone asked me one time, said, you think poverty is in America? Absolutely. It is, but not true poverty. It's all about perception. You eat your 16-ounce steak, you can't eat all of it, dog. I stand at the restaurant at the door and present myself well. What you gonna do? You're not gonna take it home here, young man.
That's right.
So, true poverty don't have an option, no options. I just wanna maintain my purpose and just doing what I do, man. And like I say, next year, 2026, get this content. We're gonna join, we're gonna revisit this and have some more fun.
We are definitely gonna do that, man. Listen, we appreciate you coming out, man.
Right.
Yeah,
Thank
man. You're a good brother. Appreciate you coming out, giving your true story. Like we always say on the podcast, in an unlearned space, you always learn so you can become unlimited, man. And you actually defined and done that in multiple ways, man. So thank you for coming out, man. For the audience, if you like the show, please come back. Please come out and share, subscribe. Also, you can contribute. If you got more questions for Dr. Johnson, let us know. We like our audience to keep interacting with our guests. A good brother, down to earth. I got a whole lot of good stuff going on. I know we can't give all the stuff. I can't get all the secrets out, but wanted people to know, you're an example of resiliency. You're an example of pushing, always trying to do the right thing, and you also, I would argue, the journey of your life. As I shared with the audience, it ain't just a conversation. It's about your journey, because that to me is what makes a big difference. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Share, subscribe. Unlearned Unlimited. Another banger.
Bam.
Unlearned Unlimited, punch one again, had it. Unlearned Unlimited, get fashion and net it. Unlearned Unlimited, hands down, how the fuckers.